Hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. We're in fairly humble territory this time round, value-wise, but in some ways, very venerated company as well. Let me expand. This is the Alfa Romeo GTV 3-litre V6 Busso engine. This is a 1999 car, which means it's sort of in a sweet spot with these. It's the most powerful iteration of the 3-litre engine before they went to Euro 3 exhaust emissions, which had to detune the engine, tame down the valve timing and lift and all that good stuff to make the engine breathe a little more cleanly. Of course, they came out with the 3.2-litre version later, but these cars know how to deteriorate. Let me put it that way. Let's not beat around the bush. They were a great car. By Alfa Romeo standards, their quality control was excellent, but they still know how to corrode, for things to wear on them, bits of plastic to fall off. You know, I don't want to paint too negative a picture, but yeah, they are an Alfa Romeo of that era. Nevertheless, good ones are lovely cars, and this falls into that category. It's the facelifted version. This particular style won 10. The car won 10 awards in 1995, major international awards for its body style, its ability as credentials as a sports car, you name it. This car rated very highly in a lot of ways, and the shape still looks quirky, different, bold. Those wonderful 4-round headlights poking through the holes in the front bonnet, the front hood, which actually aren't 4-round headlights. They're 4 projector lights. When built to a lighting system, very clever, something a bold Italian would do, really. The rest of the world would be probably too scared to do something like that, but it's just got a heart of gold, this car. I feel that. It's in really good condition. It's not done a particularly low mileage. It's been well used, 120-odd thousand, but this car is coming up at the Hampsons auction at Bolesworth Castle in a couple of days' time, and by the time this video goes out, it will have either sold or not. But the auction estimate is £5,000 to £7,000 hammer price, which is a shed load of classic car for your buck. It really is. Okay, we'll talk about the Busso V6. Designed in 1979 by Signore Busso. Originally started life as a 2.5 litre in the GTV6, the very pretty GTV6 Alfa Romeo. And then it went through the 164, the 75, and eventually probably its most elegant installation was in this car. It's famous for having the polished, the chrome-plated 6 inlet tracts in a line above the engine. It's a 60-degree V6. It's a very thoroughbred engine. We've just purely by chance parked it next to a Dino 246 in the workshop, and the engines are not dissimilar. The Dino is a 65-degree V6 for packaging reasons. These two are probably two of the most beautiful V6 engines ever made. They both have a music and a charm of their own. In fact, a long time ago, in the early days of this channel, probably 4 and a bit years ago, I did a video on a Fiat Dino Coupe, which had an almost identical engine to the Ferrari Dino 246 over there. And that had a special exhaust that we'd made in here on it to unleash some extra noise, some of that beauty. And that car sounds absolutely glorious. We'll put a link at the end of the video so you can watch that. But this is also la musica bella. It is just delightful. These Busso V6s have it all. They have torque, they have power, they have beautiful sound, they have reasonable efficiency, you name it. Quite a lot of reliability as well, actually. They are a strong engine, provided you observe the necessary maintenance schedules on them. Great bit of kit. This car is very good. It's got the standard leather interior, the teledial alloys. I'm going to take this car out for a run. I must confess, I have never driven one of these. Never. I had a friend with a GTV Coupe, a twin spark, years ago, which was okay. Very good car. Alfa Romeo, one of the first production cars to have variable valve timing, and on the 2-litre twin spark, and it really worked. It was a gutsy, torquey, but also top-endy 2-litre engine. But this is a whole different ball game. 225 brake horsepower, feeding through the front wheels, which was very risky in the 1990s because the suspension technology, as the power outputs ratcheted up on front-wheel drive cars, the suspension engineers spent sleepless nights trying to harness that power because you've got a tiny contact patch on 2 tyres with 225 brake horsepower in this case, trying to get through it. And that can lead to lack of adhesion, it can lead to torque steer, because the drive shafts are trying to centralize the wheels all the time unless you take precautions like make the drive shaft a particular length and the suspension geometry a particular way. There are all sorts of technical challenges. Of course, we live these days in the era of cars that produce well over 300 brake horsepower through the front wheels, but not then. So it'll be very interesting to see this car. It's a little gem, as I say. It's quite sweet. I'm quite happy to have it here in the workshop, actually. We're not doing a lot to it. It's just come in for a check over. But yeah, the Alfa Romeo GTV 3-litre V6 24 valve. Let's see what it drives like. Well, this is uncharted territory for me. I've driven quite a lot of different makes and model of car over the last 40 years. This one has, in this form, with the V6, has eluded me. I'm just going through the usual process of warming things up and getting things thermally stable. I can't actually believe the condition of this car. I mean, BMW and Mercedes had the resources of hundreds of millions of pounds to throw at quality control. And you can tell that in how much they actually hold together and cost when they're new. But Alfa Romeo didn't have the luxury of that as much. Consequently, let's be frank about it, Alfa Romeo quality control of necessity wasn't quite as good. I'm choosing my words carefully. But this particular car, it just feels very much of a piece. It feels very together. The steering wheel is slightly off centre, about 20 degrees to the right, which annoys me intensely. I would want to fix that, but we're warmed up now. The real thing is the oral magic of that 3-litre Busso V6. So here we go. Oh, and there it is. Just absolutely beautiful. It's got some grunt, this car, and the power curve, that's 4,500 RPM. It reminds me of a Ferrari 275 GTB4 because the power in that suddenly takes on an extra dimension as the gases start, the acoustics of the engine, the gases start flowing in and out of it. It all starts to come together, and this is very much the same, actually. What a lot of car. By the time this video is published, we'll know what it sold or didn't sell for. I suspect it's going to sell. What a lot of car for £5,000 to £7,000 hammer. An extraordinary amount of car for that money. And it goes back to my earlier comment. How much or how little does a classic car need to be? Would you derive, for instance, a car that's worth 100 times as much as this? I'm thinking of Ferrari Daytona, £500,000 cars. Do you get 100 times much of pleasure out of driving it, apart from being afraid of stone chips and other road users? But just gorgeous, that engine note, and the way the power band builds is very, very pleasant. It really is. I mean, an Italian V6 is just something to behold. It really is. Just a lovely piece of machinery. You can tell there's been some people at work here who are passionate about what they do, as well as very clever. The way the engine just picks up, as I say, the way the power curve When I come out of this corner, I'll see if I can actually explain what's going on in real time. So we're, as usual, on our bumpy test track, but that's 3,000 RPM. 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. You can see how much quicker it is at the top end, along with that beautiful induction roar and exhaust note. I would say this is a find, this car, actually. 6-speed gearbox. The gear change is still beautifully slick. Just change gear with one finger. Just absolutely beautiful. Even second, which is one of the most difficult and challenging gears because of the way people change down into second gear. It can actually wear the synchro out in next to no time. And this is just lovely. And it's in sufficiently good condition that you could turn up in a classic car meet without hanging your head in shame. As you may have gathered, I'm quite charmed by this car. I've got too many cars already. I'm not going to succumb, but I'll tell you what, it's tempting. It really is. Oh. That power curve is amazing. It really is. What a fabulous bit of kit. Well, that concludes another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. We'll be back with something else more exotic soon, but for the moment, please remember to subscribe. It does make a difference. Yeah, let's keep in touch. See you next time.